driving on the open road through Utah with some petroglyphs, a very mysterious location, and a dog named Stan? Come along with us and join the adventure, as I found it mysterious. Welcome everyone to Weekend Escapades. Today we are going to take a look at some Anasazi ruins and also some amazing petroglyphs that has to make one think, what were they carving into these rocks? And did they have a little alien influence? Well, who knows? But wait till you see these amazing petroglyphs. And just a quick note, be sure to like and subscribe as it helps keeps our channel strong. And check out our store next to the description below. There's some great merchandise there for not only your pets, but for yourself to sponsor Weekend Escapades. Thank you again for watching and your continued support. All right, so let's head on up to these Anasazi ruins as we are almost there for walking up this rock trail. And there it is, right through the bushes. This location we're coming up on here that we are looking at is the remains of a thousands of year old ancestral Puebloan farmstead. It is one of many sites in the Santa Clara River Reserve that preserves evidence of the daily lives of ancient farmers who grew corn, squash, and beans along the river. And there's not much really left here. ATVs got to this before they knew what it was, and kind of destroyed part of it, so they surrounded it. And they've kind of outlined where these pits were that were covered with sandstone and dug down to keep all of the food and corn in this location. And a couple locations, that's what you're looking at. That area is preserved, but that is really all that's left is some of those rocks. So let's move on up the trail and look at this beautiful view. And let's find these petroglyphs. As we have to walk along this rocky cliff, we're going to get closer and closer as our adventure gets a little more exciting, as these petroglyphs are crazy. Let's take a look. Now, the Anasazi or the Puebloan natives could not have grown the squash and corn and grains that they needed if there wasn't a water source. And that water source would be right down there where you see those bigger trees looking off these cliffs. And after looking at that, we ran into our first petroglyphs. And they are right here. We were walking around. First sighting of petroglyphs. And there's a trail that goes through here that cuts through all these large rocks. And that is where we're heading. Now you have to scramble around through these rocks if you want to get a really good look and kind of poke around. But it's well worth the effort. The sheer volume of petroglyphs here is astounding. They have 7-toed feet, spirals, and what look like, I guess, starlings. That's where that alien kind of a association comes from. A lot of people say that there's star beings, if you will, or starlings that they wrote on these rocks, that they had some kind of a communication. And some of these things actually look like, you know, the spaceships that you would see that people would draw. But I don't know. I don't know much about, but I'll tell you, it's still amazing to see and wonder why all of this art was on these rocks and all these boulders tumbling down the hill. Now, this is the location that has a few of those, I guess, the beans, you know, the star beans that they would call them. And this almost looks like a spaceship. Look at the four-fingered beans, I guess, if you would there. And it just gets even better. So if you know anything about this kind of stuff, comment below if one of these figures stand out to you and maybe you recognize something that you've seen in some other video about petroglyphs. But look at the carvings on those rocks. Those are about 4 to 5 feet tall, quite large. And again, no shortage of giant boulders that rolled down this hill. Made it a little bit unnerving to stand by a few of them, just thinking, what if one of them tumbled over on you? I wondered, you know, how often these rocks move, or when did they move? Because this is a shelf where one rock is falling over on another one. So this shelf has been here for thousands of years and hasn't moved, but at one time, it did tumble over. And look at the carving of the old sheep there. That, you know, I would draw a sheep the same way. That's kind of as good as my art is. But those are hundreds of thousands of years old. And then they get a little bit more abstract with the squiggle lines, almost celestial looking, like something that would be that they would look into the stars and see these swirls and kind of beings with big heads, like drawings of people with big heads, and some look like normal proportioned people, and some with 3 fingers, and some with 5 and 6 fingers. So that's what's it kind of makes me think, what were they drawing? I mean, obviously, if you were drawing a real person, you would put the 5 fingers, I would believe. So where does the 3-fingered being come in? These are the questions that I've looked up about petroglyphs, and that's what they wonder. They honestly think that they had some kind of communication with star beings. And look at those. Are those fingers? Are they suction cups on those fingers? What are they? Just kind of interesting. Oh, and there's Stan. Stan had to show up there. He had to get out on the rocks and take a look at all the petroglyphs with us. Stanley's one of our family members, if you will. And he had a great time looking at all the petroglyphs. We would really love to know your thoughts about petroglyphs and what you think about these drawings and maybe how people communicated back then and why they're here. So please let us know in the comments below. We hope you enjoyed this adventure to these Anasazi ruins and amazing petroglyphs. And until our next adventure, Stanley says goodbye from Weekend Escapades, and we'll see you in the next one.